Hey everyone, Ryan here at Etrailer. Today in our 2024 Hyundai Santa Fe, we're going to be showing you how to install the Curt Trailer Hitch Receiver. Before we get into that, let's just take a minute. We'll check this one out and make sure it's going to be the right setup for you. So with these Santa Fes, people do a lot of stuff with them, pulling trailers, using accessories like bike racks, and having a hitch back here is going to allow you to do stuff like that. So if your Santa Fe didn't come equipped from the factory with the trailer hitch, this will be a great solution to allow you to get those types of tasks done. I do think the hitch is going to look pretty good back here. You know, it sits up nice and tight against the bottom of the Santa Fe, sits back a little bit, and for the most part it's going to be completely hidden. You know, really you're just going to be able to see the receiver tube opening here. With that said, this hitch has a gloss black powder coat finish, and there's an Etrailer hitch available as well that looks extremely similar to this, but with that one it's going to have more of a matte black finish. And to me, I kind of favor that one a little bit more in most scenarios. I think it matches the plastic on the bumper almost perfect, but that's just my taste, and honestly, you know, it's don't look bad by any means, and it might match your Santa Fe better if that's the look you're going for. The hitch is going to have a 2" by 2" receiver tube opening. It's a good thing. A lot of different accessories will work with it. It's going to use that standard 5/8 pin and clip. One doesn't come included with the hitch. If you need one, not a big deal. You can always grab it here at Etrailer. A lot of times too, if you end up getting a new accessory, they'll come with one. So something to look out for there. And with the safety chain openings, they're plate style, easy to get to, and large enough to allow you to use just about any size hook that your trailer might have on it. As far as the hitch's weight capacities go, it's going to give us some pretty good numbers. Maximum gross tongue weight rating is going to be 600 pounds, and that'll be the amount of weight pushing down on the hitch. And that's good for pretty much any size bike rack or cargo carrier, to give you an example there. And for the maximum gross trailer weight rating, that's going to be 4,000 pounds, or the amount of weight pulling on the hitch. So that is the weight of your trailer plus anything that you might have in or on it. I do always like to recommend, it's always a good idea just to grab your Hyundai's owner's manual. That way you can check in there and make sure that your Santa Fe can handle that amount of weight safely. We'll grab a couple measurements now, and these will help us figure out what type of accessories will work best. We go from the ground to the top inside edge of the receiver tube opening. That's going to be about 14 inches. So for those of you planning to pull a trailer around, chances are pretty good you can use a ball mount that has a straight shank, or one with even a slight rise in it, maybe an inch or two will work well in most scenarios. And if you're going to be using an accessory, a bike rack or something, if it were me and I was going to buy a new one, I'd look for one that has a rise as well, just to buy a little bit more ground clearance. But if you already have one with a straight shank, I think you'd be just fine. If you go from the center of the hitch pin hole to the edge of the rear bumper, that's going to be about 6 inches. And you can use that to help figure out exactly if those folding type accessories that you might have can be stored in an upright position without hitting the back of your Santa Fe. Other than that, that's really about it. You know, good all around hitch. Looks good back here and will get the job done. As far as the installation goes, really not too bad on this vehicle. We didn't have to modify anything or nothing along those lines. More or less, you let the exhaust come down a little bit, not a huge deal. I removed a small panel over here, which is easy to get to and everything, and the hitch pretty much just bolts right up in place. So shouldn't really give you too many issues for sure, but if this is something you don't feel like messing with, don't have the time or place to work on it, definitely understand that. You can always use our dealer locator network, and that can help you find a shop in your neighborhood that can set this up for you. But if you're doing it yourself, hang around, we'll go ahead, pull into the garage, and get going on it now. To begin our installation, we're going to be underneath the back of our Santa Fe, and it definitely makes things much easier if you temporarily lower and remove the spare tire. Gives us a room we need to work, so I've done that. It'll go back up once the hitch is in place and everything, but we'll start over here on our driver's side. We're going to have this underbody panel that we can remove, and there's 3 push pin style fasteners like this. Just take a flathead screwdriver, pry underneath the head of it, and you're able to work the base out. And then Up here in this little pocket, there's 2 plastic nuts. And what you can do with these, take a 14mm socket and an extension. You can just spin these by hand. They're going to stay connected to the panel, but they're getting detached from the little stud coming out from the bottom of our vehicle. We'll loosen these up. A lot of times too, you might have to kind of apply some downward pressure on the panel while you're spinning that nut, just to kind of get the threads to catch. You can pop this off and set it to the side for now. We are going to need to let our exhaust come down a little bit, again, to give us more room to work. Not a big deal. What I like to do is take a strap, just kind of run it from side to side. That way when we do let the exhaust down, we can kind of control how fast and how far we let it drop. We're going to have 3 rubber isolator hangers that we can remove. That's actually holding the exhaust up. One's right here, and I like to spray them down with some sort of lubricant. I use soapy water, and then you can just kind of grab the exhaust and work it back and forth a little to help loosen things up. You can grab a pry bar or a big screwdriver, whatever you got. We'll work that end off. The other hanger is going to be kind of in this area here on the front side of our muffler. Just going to go ahead and do the same thing. Doesn't really matter which end you work off, just whichever one's easier to get to. The third and final one will be right here. Do that same thing. And now we should be able to loosen up our strap a little bit and let the exhaust come down some. We can talk about our attachment points and the hardware that we're going to use to secure the hitch now. And on each side of our vehicle, we're going to have 3 attachment points. These weld nuts here. And from this point on, whatever we do to one side of our vehicle, we'll also do to the other side. So we set up the same way. But with these, it's not a bad idea if you spray some type of penetrating oil in there, take a brush or something and just help clean them threads out if there's any debris or anything like that inside. And the hardware, it's going to be the same for all of our attachment points. You're going to have a bolt and a conical tooth washer. And you want to make sure that the teeth on the washer are set like that, to where when you bolt this in, those teeth are going to face towards the hitch. So when we're holding the hitch up, we put the bolts through the hitch and simply just thread them right into the frame rail. If you have someone that can help you out with this part, it makes it much easier. But we're going to take our hitch, raise it into position over the exhaust, and can line up all of our attachment points and get the hardware started hand tight. Once all the hardware is in place and hand tight, come back with a 19mm socket and snug it all down. I'm going to make sure and come back with a torque wrench now and tighten down all the hardware to the amount specified in the instructions. With everything torqued down, we can re-hang our exhaust the opposite way, spray them down again, and personally I like to start with this hanger since it's a little harder to get to. And while there's nothing else connected, it just makes it a little more manageable. I don't really have a preference from there. You can do either one. But now that it is supporting itself again, we'll go ahead and get our strap removed. So I went ahead, took the underbody panel, put that back into position the opposite way that we removed it. Same thing with the spare tire, went right back up into place. Doesn't interfere with the hitch or anything like that. But with all that done, that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the Curt Trailer Hitch Receiver on our 2024 Hyundai Santa Fe.